So I think we're finally getting somewhere. I have been tinkering around with this Melty off camera just a lot, basically trying to get the translation to improve. See, we've got the heading now somewhat good. I've pulled the gyroscope out because it just wasn't working, but the heading itself is somewhat good, and I've been now trying to use that to get some translation going and having very limited success. Every now and again I would get it to translate it, but it was kind of chaotic, and if I was trying to tell the Melty to go this way, it would sometimes go that way and sometimes go that way, and other times it would just speed up or slow down or all sorts of other weird and wonderful behaviors. But I did a thing, and I put an extra piece of code in that lights up the light a different color where it thinks I'm trying to tell the Melty to go. And that is where I found an issue. So if I spin the Melty up, you will see what I'm talking about. We have a heading light, which is somewhat fixed. It's still not perfect. I could tweak this just a little bit. But if I push the stick forwards, the heading light and the direction light are in the same spot, which is what we want. But if I push to the side or literally any other angle, whoa! So we get a direction I want to go, which is just all the way around the robot. Yeah. So for whatever reason, my heading is not working for any other direction than straight forwards. And even then, if I try and translate that direction, it doesn't quite work. It does. This is actually moving under my command though. It's just semi-erratic. Is how I would describe that. I'm also really not melting at a high speed right now. And that should be all fixed up now. So what I've done is I've gone in and I have tweaked the algorithm a little bit so that it actually calculates the angle properly. And now the Melty kind of works. It's not perfect still, I will definitely say that much, but it does translate when I tell it to translate somewhat in the direction I'm asking it to go. The problem at the moment is the heading is not stable because we're still in the test chassis. I'm having a hard time concentrating on controlling this thing and also talking, but we're still in the test chassis and it is not balanced properly. So it keeps hitting the ground on one side, which is throwing the heading off quite considerably. Which is, of course, causing issues and meaning that we're not translating properly, and also that the heading is kind of wobbling around all over the place. Let's see if I can fix that in my... Oh, we've lost our balance nuts. So yeah, that's down, definitely very out of balance. But that is working pretty well, considering. So it works! Ish, kind of. Like I said, it just needs to be balanced properly. Right now, with the way everything's sitting, it's actually, it's overweighted to the front after losing a couple of nuts. So there you go. It's not balanced. And that is a bit of a problem for this thing because not being balanced as a Melty means you're actually going to get a little bit of precession and a little bit of wobble in everything, which means that your heading's not going to be right, especially in the way that I'm trying to work out heading. So all of this is going to be a little bit dodgy. Now, I could sit here for the next 2 days and balance this thing to perfect precision, but I'm not going to because A, I don't have 2 days. I've got only a couple, 4-ish before competition. By the time you guys are seeing this video, I probably have fought the Melty at least once, all going well. Hopefully. Anyway, we don't have the time to do that. So what we're going to do instead is we are going to move on to this. We are going to finally bring out the actual octal Melty chassis, and we are going to put all of this stuff into here. Now, I am a little concerned on weight here. This wooden chassis variant comes in at about 800 grams. And MDF is lighter than HDPE, so it's going to be heavier just in this form than it is in this form. And the weapons that I want to put on, which have also arrived, so I have a couple of those on here right now. One of them is 130 grams, and the other one is 100 grams. So altogether, they're either like almost 300 or almost 200 extra grams, not including the rest of the weapon system, just for the weapon teeth themselves. So I could run out of weight here. However, I do have a trick up my sleeve in this case. Because the Melty is designed to be fully modular, we can just ignore one of the weapons and only run one weapon. What this would mean is, rather than balancing the electronics inside, we jam all the electronics on one side to try and counterbalance the weapon, and then maybe add an extra little box out the back here to further counterbalance the weapon. But there are ways to make this work with the bigger weapon, and yeah, it's time to start pulling some stuff apart and look at getting some stuff into here. So there it is laid out. That is basically everything that went into the Melty. Melties in the hardware side are fairly simple beasts, but like I said, we are now going to be changing things over. So while we do the changeover into this chassis here, I'm also going to do some upgrades and some adjustments. So the main big one is all this wiring mess here, it's going to be replaced with this. This is a circuit board that I've designed up that holds the teensy and then a voltage regulator, and then basically gives nice wire routing so that I can power everything easily without having to do spaghetti like this. It also holds a brand new LED, so we're not going to be relying on this LED strip anymore. I've got a singular one up here, which I think is about the same brightness as this, so it should be totally fine. It also allows me to mount this thing quite rigidly, or semi-rigidly, because it's going to be mounted to a flexible electronics box. I'm just going to put some heat insert nuts into this and screw it in from the other side, and that should be strong enough. And then this is all quite kind of flexible, so that should give it a little bit of shock mounting, which will be nice and keep it secure. So I'm going to swap those out. I'm also going to swap out my little feet because these ones have started to wear down. So I'm actually going to have to do this in competition too. Probably going to have to swap feet on the Melty yeah, every other fight or so, which is kind of annoying, but that's what's going to happen, I guess. Also, I'm probably going to have to reprint chassis lids and bits and pieces as well, but that's enough of that. Let's get some parts into there. We were about to jump into a time lapse there, but I've just done a round of weighing things, and we are pretty close on weight from what I can tell, and I was using one of the big and one of the small, so one of the 80 gram, one of the like 130 gram weapons together in there. So realistically, I would either need to run 2 of the middleweight weapons or 2 of the lightweight weapons, and I kind of wanted to run the big boys in here, which is a bit unfortunate. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to work out. Oh, these are slightly magnetic. That's interesting. Anyway, I'm going to have to work out what I'm doing with all of this, but I'm actually thinking that in this chassis, we have 8 separate sections and 8 separate HDPE pieces in here. I'm going to reduce that. I'm going to cut out 4 of them, 4 on the diagonals, and the ones on the straights we're going to leave, because the ones on the straights are going to be used to mount the motors and then also as a backstop for our electronics boxes. But the ones on the angles, these guys over here, aren't needed. They're just extra weight. So we're going to drop those out and hope that the Melty still actually works with those dropped out. I think it will. There we go. It is all together and ready to get a move on. Now, while I was at the event helping out, I did also manage to put this into the arena to do a quick test spin up, and that looked a little bit like this. I'm going to try the weapons first.
Oh my god. So what your translocation you can offer?
You just need to wait for someone.
That's it, it's going to make a glass cannon. I'm not sure if I'm in the same group, but I'm looking for like.
Oh, we're in it.
I would just turn up my weapon mode and just run into it. Yeah. Like I wouldn't even try running into it. I'll just run into it and with my steel wedge.
So, a couple of things there. First of all, the code seems to have an issue in it because it was not detecting, it was turning on the blue light while the Melty was supposed to be running, which is kind of weird. It shouldn't have done that. So I need to update that and just make sure that's all okay, because this is now the Melty brain board in here rather than the other setup. And also when it rammed into a wall, the whole thing turned off, which is not good because a hit is going to have more impact than a wall. So there's a loose wire in here somewhere that's kind of shorting or something that I'm going to have to go through and fix here. But literally it is now the night before competition and also the night before you guys see this video. So I need to stop recording here and stop this video because I need to edit it and also go through and bug fix whatever this problem is in here right now. I think I should be able to get it done, and I'm really hoping that it will fully Melty for tomorrow for the competition. But it's looking good. It's looking like we are pretty close to that point. So there you go. I hope you guys have enjoyed this one, and I will see you in the next video.